forever since I've done one of these, but let's talk about Elvis, A Musical Revolution. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I know this started in June 2024. And normally when I see stage shows, I like to see them within the first week, preferably the first night, but usually within the first week of them opening, because like I like to see the first time during that first week when everyone's like, yes, we're doing this. And then sometimes you see the last performance and you're like, high energy and done. Well, the reason I didn't see this in June, and the reason I was so and ahhing about wanting to see Elvis, A Musical Revolution, is because I didn't think it would be something that I would like. Now, in saying that, yes, I am wearing an Elvis Presley dress, and yes, I am a Presley fan, but to me, I felt like it didn't have something that would pull me in. But because I'm only staying down the Gold Coast, and Hoda, which is the home of the arts for the Gold Coast, is about a 20-minute drive from where I'm staying, it made it a pretty easy decision. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go. Tickets are $60, I'm gonna go. Now, I believe it ends on the 8th of July, and today's the 5th. So by the time I upload this video, depending where you are, you may not have time to see it, or there may be not any tickets left. No. But let's talk about this. Now, when I saw the title, and with the little snippets that I knew about this, and like the teeniest snippets, because the marketing wasn't really well known in where I am, so I didn't know much about it. Knowing Elvis, I was like, okay, it's Elvis based, you're gonna have a guy pretending to be Elvis. It makes sense that way, right? You're gonna have his songs, it's going to be a musical. Yeah. But what I got is a very interesting stage play. Very, very interesting. Now, I've seen a lot of stage plays. It's my heart and soul. I grew up going to stage plays almost every day of the week. And I pretty much lived at QPAC growing up. And I still pretty much live at QPAC. And I feel like a traitor for not going there. But to me, I don't know, there's something about Elvis, A Musical Revolution that just feels different. And I don't know, maybe I've been spoiled for choice, and I'll be completely honest. When I see stage shows, majority of the ones that I've seen have this glitz and this glam and this show stopping, and that you have 20 different directions to look and you just cannot focus because so much is going on, and your set design's beautiful and your costumes are insane and your choreography and your script and this and that. Like, you're going 100 minutes, 100 seconds of whatever, because you're just trying to focus, but you can't because there's too much going on. So like I said, I've been spoiled with choice. But what Elvis does, it strips it all away. It doesn't have the glitz and the glam that you would think it does, which I think in a sense is a good thing. It has projections on the back wall. It has basic set design that will be needed, like tables and piano and guitar and instruments, the basic stuff that, you know, is going to make sense for an actor to use on stage. But it isn't the showstopper. It isn't anything that seems very complicated or you know, what you would imagine. It's very stripped back, and I think the reason that they stripped it back, and from my perspective, it, like I said, it works in its favor, is that because it allows the cast to embody the characters a lot more, and for the characters to have this emotional range that you would probably be too distracted to focus on. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I know this is really weird. I mean, that's the whole point of stage shows, is that you see this emotional range. But the difference is with Elvis is that you're not blinded by it. You're focused on it. And yes, they have different things going on at different times, but you were able to see the embodiment of all these cast members being who they need to be, and it works in its favor. It's in 2 acts. It's about a 2-hour something run time, which is fine. It breezes through. The first act is focusing on Elvis and, you know, his upbringing and how he was influenced by music and how important his family was. And the second half is about the king of rock and roll, the king. It's about this man who's conflicted, who's it doesn't show the drugs and alcohol that we know he was abusing through his later years, but it is showing that confliction of love, of trust, of fame, of money, of this and that. Like it's that toll you can still see on him. And I know in the last couple of years we've had Elvis movies come out. You know, recently we had Sofia Coppola's movie Priscilla. Before that we had Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. And you can compare the musical revolution to both these movies. The first half is Baz Luhrmann's movie. The second half is Priscilla, the movie. And because I recently watched Priscilla for the first time, you can really see that heavily influenced in the second act. Not purely because on stage Priscilla probably maybe has 20 minutes stage presence, but you can still feel that influence where it's not quite from his perspective, but more we're looking in on his world from someone else's perspective, whereas the first half is, this is Elvis, this is his perspective, this is his storytelling, this is the stuff that, yes, we may already know, but it's from him. So like I said, Elvis, Baz Luhrmann, and Priscilla Coppola, which I like seeing that influence, and it fits very well. Now let's talk about the cast. Like most stage shows, there's a decent amount of cast members, right? So our first lovely man who plays Elvis is Rob Malat. He is an Australian actor who I'm familiar with. I was like, I know that name, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out where he is from. But he's done in a few things. So he's fantastic as Elvis. He managed to bring the swaying, the gyration, the delinquency, the bad influence, the heart, the soul, the king, the Elvis, the human, the everything. And there was so many times when you watch this and you're like, this guy has it down to a T. This guy knows what he does. Now, I could be wrong because I feel like I am wrong. I should know this because I follow quite a few of them. But I feel like he's done tribute acts before. Or maybe done Crawley Rocks On and entered those Elvis competitions. I feel like he has, because he's got the tribute act down. He's got the influence of trying to be Elvis while not being Elvis at the same time. Like, it doesn't feel like he's playing the role. It feels like it is him, if that makes sense. So Rob does a fantastic job at being Elvis. And the range, and I get that when you're an actor, you have this range, and you've got to project, you've got to do this. But I feel like watching Rob play Elvis Presley, it was just, like, I don't know how to explain it, but you just watching him, you're just like, I know you're not Elvis, but like, there's, I can see the clogs ticking, man. Like, there's something, like, you know, you got it. So that's why I'm like, hold on, he's probably done enough tributes for Elvis. We have, let's see if I remember who it is, because faces are different. Ooh. Okay, now one of these young boys played young Elvis, and young Elvis has plenty of screen time. He's on both acts, but for most of his scenes he's in the background, kind of like staring down on his life story, which is a very fascinating thing to do, because it would normally seem out of place, but having him stand in the background of old Elvis's, I guess, point of focus, shows you the difference between these two characters. Like, there's this young boy Elvis who wanted to be something, who wanted to fit in, and then there's this old man Elvis who's like, I've got everything I ever wanted, but something's missing. So I'm not sure which boy it was tonight, but he did do a brilliant job. He does have dialogue, he does sing, he does his little dance routine. It's very cute, he very fits it. He fits in the embodiment of the young Elvis. Who do we have? let's see. Annie Chiswell plays Priscilla Presley. Priscilla has, again, like I said, 20 minutes of stage time. So watching her play Priscilla, it reminded me of, oh my god, I actually forgot her name, but it reminded me of the movie Priscilla, where again, it's from her perspective, it's telling her point of view, it's telling the pain and the love and the confusion she had for this man that the world wanted. She does a brilliant job of trying to bring Elvis in. Each character and actor does an amazing job. They don't stand in line going, okay, you're going to forget about me, you're going to focus on this character instead. They stand out. So you look at each of them and you're like, okay, I want to know more about you. I need to know more about you. Let's see if I can find. Now, the man that they had playing Colonel Parker, I think it's this guy, Ian Stanlake. Maybe is that guy? I don't know. He looks different. The Colonel Parker on stage that I had, he was bald. And no offense, but he reminded me of a porn director, like a really seedy porn director. And it's not his fault. But there was just something that I'm like, they did Colonel Parker dirty. And I know that Colonel Parker is an asshole. And I know that, you know, yes, because of him we have Elvis, but also because of him he's fucked up. But like, stage version of Colonel Parker feels like a seedy underground porn director that you need to have arrested. It was a very odd vibe. And it felt very out of place. But again, it's not his fault. It's the direction that he possibly got given. And it's very, very odd. And I wasn't a fan of that one. Noni McCullum plays Gladys Presley. She's phenomenal. She's able to bring in that motherly love to both versions of Elvis. She's able to bring in the grounding of this man and show the pieces that, yes, society has started to understand, but also show that this woman played a huge pivotal part in Elvis Presley's life, even before fame. And obviously with the mother-son relationship, like, that's gonna happen. But I mean, like, Noni managed to keep it grounded. She managed to be this focal point, and she managed to bring these emotions out that you probably wouldn't have seen in any adaptation. Like, yeah, I mean, we've had Gladys in film and on, you know, biographies and the photos, but like, again, what we see on other adaptations is not what we see on stage, and she manages to bring that to life, if that makes sense. Very trying. Look, man, in my defense, it's nearly 11 p.m. at night, so I'm trying. I've been up since 4 a.m. Don't ask me why. The acts are breaking down by songs, and I think it's very creative, specifically in Act 2, because Act 2 has so much to cover. Act 2 is about the films, about the television appearances, about the cheating scandals, about Priscilla's breakup. It tries to cram it all in, and I understand that stage performances don't have the luxury that movies do, or TV shows do, or books do. They have a set amount of time. They can only focus on so many pinpoints. But they manage to do it in such a creative way that you're like, ooh, I like this. I've never seen this before. With Elvis's film career, we all know that he hated his movies. Look, there's probably some of them he likes, but he hated the fact that he had to sing in every goddamn one. And as someone who has seen 99% of Elvis's catalog, I agree with the man. Some of them did not need singing. They would have been perfectly fine without the singing, but whatever. They did it in a way where the posters would be in the backboard, and they would be characters on set, on stage going, we're going to talk about this movie, and then we'll show it. But we'll do like these quick musical numbers to interject each moment. And we try to pull in the pivotal moments. Obviously, some moments felt a bit flat, and I think because they hadn't quite explored it as well as you can in screen or in books. And it came to Martin Luther King and the black versus white debate that is still happening to this day, but not as harrowing and heartbreaking as it used to be. They try to show that in, but it feels out of step, and it feels like, okay, yes, we understand that Elvis was influenced by black music, by black musicians, by black movements. He was influenced by all that, and when they try to put it into the stage presence, it just, you're sitting there going, I can see you're trying, but if you don't know Elvis, you're gonna feel very lost. If you don't know what he was influenced by, you're going to feel very lost. Like, from an outsider's perspective, you're going to be very lost. So I feel like that could have been explored a lot more. But again, I understand that stage only has a set limit of time, can only focus on so many things. Like I said, it's not Scream. It's not a book. If you want to know more about Elvis that you can't see on stage, then go for it. I loved the musical numbers. I was watching all the choreography and going, I'm sitting down for 2 hours. My hips are hurting just watching these guys. The amount of quick hips movements, the amount of gyrations, the amount of shaking. I would have been like, man, I need ice packs after 5 minutes. And the fact that these guys were doing it for like 2 hours. And the costume changes. Now, I've seen a number of stage shows over my years, and I know costume changes will take a while, but I also know that you have to be on your time, and that it needs to be as smooth as possible, and that there needs to be something on stage to distract the audience when you change. Whether it be more dance routines, whether it be a blindness of coloring, something. But the stage costumes are very interesting because they looked intricate, but the costume changes were so quick that you're like, these guys got it down to a T. It's basically like a magician's trick where you just rip one layer off and you're like, hey, next layer. Obviously they did it off stage, but it still felt like nothing. So they were very beautiful to watch. The costumes for Elvis tried to fit the themes and the eras that he was in. Because again, like, this man lived for quite a long time, right? 40, 50 years, right? And you're trying to show his timeline from the moment he was born, which was, 19, 20, 30, I could be wrong, to, 1960s? Just before 1970. And there is a lot that happened in those decades, with the clothing, with music, with everything, that they managed to make it seem flowing and managed to try and fit in as much as they could with the costuming, while again trying to show the world that these are different generations, different versions, different Elvis periods that we all know. I didn't mind the show. I mean, for $60, my ticket, which was $60, it felt right, but I feel like there could be a lot more. And I'm not complaining, so to speak. I love going to stage shows, but again, I don't know, maybe because I've been spoiled for choice over the years, or maybe I'm so used to seeing different things going on that when I watched Elvis, it was just, I don't even know what the word is, right? But it wasn't a letdown, I'll be honest on that. It did surprise me, but I don't know, there's just something there that, like, I think it also helps, and I think this is the tricky part, and it's not the stage storyline's fault. I think the problem is when you do biographies, bringing them to stage, and the world knows so much about these people, is that it makes it incredibly hard to fit them into what the audience knows and what the audience doesn't know, while trying to keep them entertained. And it's a very tricky thing to do. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone knows Elvis. Everyone knows Tina Turner. Everyone knows Queen. You can't try to convince us that we don't know them when we do. So when you bring it to stage, you have to fill our version of illusions while fitting into the illusion that the media painted of these stars. And it's an incredibly hard thing to do. And I don't know, maybe that's why I sort of struggled with Elvis Musical Revolution, because it's not giving me something different while trying to give me something different. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not complaining. It was a wild ride. Like, I tapped my toes. Thankfully, no one around me sang, because I would have been annoyed. Just I got to focus on the stars and what was happening. But again, like, trying to bring biographies to stage when they've got a huge legacy and audiences decades, generations later, you're trying to appeal to the masses while trying to fit into this narrative that was set from the start. It's very hard, but they sort of managed to pull it off, I think. Yeah, I'm going to leave it on that, because I'm just going to keep doing this until I run out of that. But yeah, Elvis and Musical Revolution. Very interesting to sit through.